Afternoon, everyone, and thank you for jumping on for today's webinar. My name's William. I'm going to be your host today and your presenter today as we go through Console Cloud's routine inspection management. Now, to just kick things off, I'll be joined by my colleagues Anna and Alex, who'll be monitoring the webinar chat. They'll be there to help you out with any questions you have as we go through. And you can pop that into the webinar chat or also the question and answer chat. Both will be monitored and answered, of course. Now, to kick things off and to get us started, I have a quick poll that I'd just like to pop out there. It's going to help me get to know you guys a little bit better and hopefully help me out with, or help you keep a bit of a better idea of what we're going to be doing today. If you just want to fill that in, that would be great. Awesome, cool. All right, yeah, getting some good answers through there. Mixed bag. Yep, quite a few of you. Most of you do your own inspections. Actually about 50%. Some people share it across the team. Some people have a leasing team, and then some people do something else altogether. Now, 90% of you are using Console Go, which is fantastic. That'll be a big part about what we're going through today. Not everything, but part of it. And I can see most of you haven't reviewed your inspection templates recently, which is good to know. So we'll talk about that briefly as we go through today. So let's just get on to the next slide here. As I want to go through routine inspection workflow within Console Cloud, and I will discuss the templates as we go and some ideas that we have there for you. We're going to perform some inspections in the Console Go app, and then we'll come back and finalize those in the desktop where we can go through some things there. So without further ado, let's get in and have a look at Console Cloud. Here we go. Cool. Excellent. So on screen, you should be seeing my training room. It looks like that's it there. And we are going to get started with a little bit of a tip that I want to go through at the start here with regards to auditing your routine inspections within the system. So I can see that my the team is on your questions in chat, which is good to see there. Thank you. All right, now from the left-hand menu, we're firstly just going to come down to tenants, where through here we have a filter called No Upcoming Routines. This can be a handy filter for us to jump straight in and have a bit of a look to see which properties don't have an upcoming routine inspection. Now, I've got a few within my system, 12 in total, and this is a bit of a mixed bag because this is an audit report. It's not necessarily telling me that there's no routine, it's just there's no upcoming one. So this might be properties which have one that I need to complete. Could be some commercial listings that I've got in, so commercial properties I've got in here. And there may be the odd one where I have just forgotten to put one in place, or I've completed it, when I set the property up, I didn't put a routine inspection schedule in at the time. Obviously, that should never happen, but just in case. This gives us a report we can come through and we can check. Now, I've come through and spotted one of those earlier, so we're not going to go through each one. And I can tell you right now that mine is 45 Station Street here, where I've come through, I've had a bit of a look at the property, and I have no upcoming routine inspection for this property. So coming through to the property here, coming to my inspections, I can see I've got no upcoming routine inspection or overdue one. And the last one in here, well, was done today. I might have deleted that for an example's sake. Now, let's just say that, obviously at this point, we now need to create a routine inspection within Console Cloud. And we're just going to quickly do so from the property by coming through to Add New and popping in our inspection. All right. Now, as this is a routine inspection, we're going to pop this in for next month. So let's pop that in. Let's just say the 1st of April to remind me to do it next month. I'm going to assign that to myself, and I'm going to, of course, make sure that I'm popping in the routine inspection schedule there, which I'm going to pop that in for 3 months. This is probably the most important step of creating routines in the system. And when you put new tenancies in that setup process, you configure that at that point in time as well. But if this is missed, when you complete a routine inspection, it will not create a reoccurring schedule as a result. Click and create, pops that in the system. We now have that upcoming routine inspection there. All right. With that said, we've talked enough about scheduling our inspections. Let's now go through to our inspection workflow, which I'm going to choose to navigate to it from workflows on the left-hand side down to inspections. Albeit I could have gone through my properties or through my dashboard. All of them will get me to the same location. And now that I'm here, I can start to have a bit of a look at the routine inspections I've got in the system and start to schedule upcoming ones as well. Now, if we are just looking at what we're seeing on screen first, I can see I've got this one here. This is an overdue inspection and would show up in that report that I showed you earlier as that it is no longer upcoming. And that's one obviously I have forgotten, well, maybe not forgotten, but I haven't got around to sending that out to the owners just yet, potentially. We can come back and deal with that one later. I can also see the inspections I got scheduled for today and later on, or next Monday, and I can see the ones going out to the future. Now, if I wanted to go through and schedule my inspections for next month, to make life easier for myself, I'm going to use my filters to pick a window of time where I want to see what inspections I've got coming up in that particular window. Tapping on filters from here, currently I've got this filtering down on routines and only my open ones. And I can also filter it down specifically onto certain people that's assigned to, as well as a date range. In this case, I want to look at any routine inspections that I have, that are coming up in April. By clicking apply, that's going to filter down onto those that are coming up in April. That's these ones here that we can see. Now, I can see with this one up the top here, potentially that's why I deleted that routine inspection. They are vacating, so that's going to be happening. I don't actually need to worry about that one. But I've got a few more in here where I am going to want to book these in. And I know at the moment, no notices have been sent out to anyone, as my details column does not show me any information with regards to that. So to come through and schedule these, I'm just going to select the ones which I want to do. Let's just take these three here as I know they're in the same area. And from my three dots on the bottom right-hand corner, I'm going to come through and update my inspection schedule. So I'm going to assign those to myself. I'm going to reschedule them to, let's pop these in for Thursday, the 3rd of April. And I can put in a specific window of time if I like as well, letting them know that I'll be coming through in the afternoon. Hitting save. Now that I've done that, we can see those three inspections are now in there for the 3rd of April between 12 and 3. To send my notice out to, it'll send the notices out to the tenants. So just select three inspections again, come down to the three dots and send inspection notices. Now, depending on your state, this may or may not have something attached to it, but I have configured this system to Queensland configuration at the moment, which means that it is attaching an entry notice so that we are compliant with state legislation there. Now, this template here can also be edited. So while this is a default one within the system, you do always have access to go through and edit these. So if you wanted to reword this so that it was more in line with your company, you certainly can do so. You can just do so from your settings and your templates. Now we're going to send this, and giving this a quick refresh, we'll be able to see that those inspection notices have now been, in this case, scheduled, letting us know those inspections have been scheduled there. This is important for two reasons. One, this is our visual indicator that we have sent those notices. And two, this means that my automation is now going to remind those tenants that I'm coming through. If we have a quick look at this, we can see through here that my automation is configured to send an email 3 days before the inspection, but it'll only send it if the notices have been sent. So those others in the list there where there's no notice, those tenants are not going to receive any notification until I send that notice. All right. A couple of other ones through here. So if you wanted to, say, invite your owner to one of the inspections through here, you can do so by selecting the inspection and using message here instead of the 3 dots to send the notice, at which point we are able to select either the tenant or the owner of the property, at which point we could come through and invite that owner. You also, depending on whether or not you have set that up, you may actually choose to set up inspection templates. So currently I don't have one, so I'd have to type this out, as in you're welcome to inspect the, we're inviting you to inspect the property and popping that into there. Or if I wanted to make this easier for myself, I can go to my settings and I can create a template to do this for me. All right. With that said though, at this point in time for my routine inspections, there's nothing more that I need to do in the desktop. So we're going to switch, well, at least not right now. We'll be coming back to the desktop a little later, but for now, we are going to switch across to my app where we're going to do some inspections. So here we go. We've got Console Go on screen here. Now, when you log into Console Go, you will be presented with a similar screen to this. And if you've got inspections coming up, you'll be able to see them in the list. And if you wanted to check out inspections that you've done previously, you can find them through the calendar up the top, where you can go back to previous days where you might have something that's in progress or completed, as well as into the future as well. So you've got those options there. Across the bottom, you do have some useful tools within the app which allow you access to your database. We can go through and search through your properties and your contacts, and you can use that to call out of the system. Plus icon will allow you to put in, so you can put in inspections on the fly if you needed to, if you just needed to recreate another one. You can log maintenance, and you can pop in some tasks and edit some inspection templates through here. Talking about tasks, you can find your tasks through here if you've got any upcoming ones. And you've got some settings at the back here where you can come through and enable some settings for your system, such as notifications, location sharing, and a few other bits and pieces in here. Now, the purpose of today, though, is to go through a routine inspection. So that's what we're going to do now. And we're going to start with the top of our list here, 66 Smith Street. Now, 66 Smith Street is a new property that I have taken over recently. And this is the first routine inspection we're going to be doing at the property. In fact, it's the first inspection we're doing in the property altogether. Now, up the top, I have an SMS that I can send out to the tenant to let them know that I've arrived and I am going to start that inspection. I can type additional information into here if I felt I needed to, or I can just leave it as is, as a courtesy SMS to let them know that I'm starting that inspection. If the tenant is in arrears, you'll be able to see that through there. Obviously, that's a little more than we'd expect, but it's a training system. And as we go down the page, we can also see that this is a new property and it's warning me that letting me know that I'm going to have to set up a inspection template for this particular property before we get started. Before we do that though, underneath that, we can also see a copy of the inspection notice, or if I click into here, it'll bring up a copy of that notice that I have sent out to the tenant. So for those that need this, it's good to know that it's there. Just in case they query to say you've never sent this through to me, I can say, yes, I did. Here it is. And this is when I sent it through to you. You can see it right there. And of course, we have contact information with regards to the owner and the tenant below there as well. Now, that's enough talking about that. Let's get started. So first things first, for any new property you put into the system, you are going to need to select a template. You can set up a new one as you go, or you can use an existing template that you may have popped into the system previously. In this case, we're just going to go with a new one to talk through it quickly. Now, this is a 1-bedroom townhouse, and we're just going to pop in a little detail about what we're going to be including on this inspection. So it's 1 bedroom, it's got 1 bathroom, doesn't have a dining area, it's not big enough. And that'll be about enough for us there. Hitting next is going to allow us to further customize this if we want to, which point we can come in and we can edit the individual rooms if we feel we needed to, adding additional sections in if we felt we needed to as well. But we need to keep in mind that what we do here is going to be reflected on the template that could be used for other properties, and it's not unique to this property yet. I'm happy with how this looks for the time being. I'm just going to leave that as is, and we're going to save this template. This here is going to be a one bed apartment. There we go. Now, by clicking Start Inspection, that brings up, well, from here, we're now actually able to go through and start that routine inspection. Now, each area, we can see through here, it has added an overall area and a general comment through here as well. And as we start, we can go through each area, adding a condition at a high level, as well as a comment about that specific area. Console Cloud will provide you with your quick notes, which we can see through here. And you have the option to add new ones in if you have a particular quick note you'd like to use. Additionally, you can edit these later. I'll show you that once we're done with this. Clean, neat, and tidy. Not exactly the world's most inventive quick note, but we're popping it in there just as an example. Under our photos, of course, we can take photos, what you at least expect. That's what you would expect it to be able to do. And I'm just going to use some stock photos from my computer here. But you'd be able to take as many as you needed to take. Can also report maintenance through here. So if you are going through and report and you do find some maintenance you would like to report, you could tap on this and put together a maintenance item for the owner, or you could send it straight through to a creditor from here. And let's just say we have a broken door handle. And a tenant has reported a broken door handle. Maybe they left a note on the bench for me to have a look at it. Now through here, we can update the priority, who to contact for access, can they pick up keys from the office, and of course we can attach a photo if we wanted to take one as well. I don't have a photo of a broken door handle, so I'm not going to, but it's a relatively straightforward process. You can either use your camera or your photo library to do so. Hitting submit creates the maintenance request, at which point I can create a work order from here directly. But if I need to talk to the owner first, I'm just going to continue that inspection. We'll pick that up later once we get back to the office. Now, clicking done completes that room, and then I can go on to the next one. Going through, putting in my comment, taking any photos I need to take, and clicking done. Once I've gone through the whole lot, I can also add a summary comment up the top here, which will go at the front of my report when I send this out to the owners and potentially the tenants afterwards. At which point, putting in clean, neat, and tidy is probably not quite enough, and I may choose to pop in a little bit more. And I should have mentioned earlier, if you're familiar with using voice to text, this of course supports that. It's just going to use your phone's native voice to text. You can put in whatever you need there. Once we're done with the inspection, we can hit save and close. And once we're on this screen, if we are happy with the report that we've put together, we can even send that straight out to the owner and the tenant from here. Hitting send report will give us the option as to who we want to send that through to. And if we're happy with the inspection and we're happy to send it through to both, we can do so. And we can hit send inspection from there. There we go. Now, at this point in time, it's also going to close this inspection. That's important because that's going to create the next reoccurring inspection in, say, 3 to 6 months' time, or whatever reoccurrence that you guys use. And we're going to charge our fee. We do have the option not to charge at this point if we wanted to, but of course, in this case, I'm going to charge my inspection fee for completing that inspection. There we go. And we can go back to our map view, which may or may not like my laptop, but on your phone will definitely take you through to the map and the next inspection in the list. All right, clicking back from here, we are then going to go on to our next property. This one's one I've completed before. So when I start the inspection, I can click the message up the top to let the tenant know I'm coming through. And when I click Start Inspection through here, it's going to ask me, am I going to be doing this from scratch, or do I want to copy from a previous inspection, which will copy notes and photos from a previous inspection? Well, and I have the option not to include photos if I wanted to. I'm going to start from scratch because I want to show you how you can check those even if you start from scratch. And we're going to click Next, which point we're in here, we can get started on this. So let's start with bedroom 1. And if we come through to bedroom 1, let's say it's in good condition, room is neat, clean and tidy, and we might take some photos. There we go. Just like we did with the other one. Mark that one off as done. Now let's say we got through to the bathroom, but when we got through to the bathroom, we're not happy with it. Shower is moldy, and there are issues. And we want to check to see what we recorded last time. When we click View History down here, we can click through to the notes from our previous inspection, where we said it was fair, some mold, but overall okay. We can even click into the photos. We can have a bit of a look at what we made note of at the time. And in this case, fortunately, it's gotten worse. So we're going to come back through to here. We're going to update our photos with new photos. And this particular one, we're going to deal with when we get back to the office, as there's something there that we're going to need to check. Up the top, under our summary, in this particular case, I'm going to make note of the bathroom being moldy, and at which point we may even choose to put in, say, cleaning instructions in here. Because this will show up on, well, it will show up on both reports, so both the owner and the tenant will see it, but it will be something that they can refer back to as well. All right. Now, I'm going to save this. We're not going to complete it. You don't need to watch me go through everything. And from here, I could choose just to send this to the owner, because I know where I can find this later to talk to the tenant. Or potentially, I may choose to go back to the office where I want to update this further before I send it to Eva, depending on what I want to do there. And that's what I'm going to do in this particular instance. And coming back out to our inspection list, I can see I've got 2 in here that are currently marked as in progress and a couple more to complete. But I'm not going to make you watch. I'm not going to make you guys watch me go through all of them. What I do want to mention though in the app before we go back to the desktop is coming back over to our settings. So we've set up a new template in here and I've put in a new quick note. Both of these are also accessible from here under our settings, where we can see all the templates we have set up, where we can swipe to edit them and add new ones in from here as well. And we can find our quick notes, where we could edit and remove, or edit and delete quick notes that we have popped into the system. So if I feel that this quick note here is not quite good enough, I can remove that. Or potentially I could edit the ones that have been created, personalizing them more to the way that I like to communicate. And you've got those options through your settings in the app. All right, now let's jump back into Console Cloud. And we're back onto our inspection workflow, where I'm just going to update my filters slightly because I need to go back to looking at March as well, where now that we're back onto here, we can see that property that we have just inspected that we had a few issues with. Now, tapping into the inspection from our inspection workflow, it's going to bring that up, of course. And if I want to review the report that I put together before sending it out to anyone, I can do so from down the bottom here, where I can click View. Now, this can still be edited from here, and if I tap on Areas from the left-hand side, I can come through and see the comments that I have made. And if I needed to edit these further to put in more detail, I can do so by coming through here and either adding or removing photos, updating the commentary and what I'm popping through here, as well as potentially popping in some instructions, such as the and hitting save. Once I'm happy with the report that I've put together, I can hit complete. And that means this report is now ready to send out to my owners. Tapping on the back button at the top here, I can come down the bottom and send that report. I can include photos if I'd like, or I can choose to just send it as a standard report, and that option's up to you as the user. Keeping in mind, any report you send out will have a link in there where the owners can download the full-size photos. And away we go. Now, with regards to the tenant, let's send that off to the owner. With regards to the tenant, though, I'm going to want to follow them up because a new inspection, not only does there need to be something done, but I'm actually going to be coming back in a week's time or a fortnight's time to check to make sure that they've got on top of things. So first things first, from my messages up the top right, so within the inspection, from the messages up the top right, I'm going to message my tenant and I'm going to send them a follow-up email. Now, this is a follow-up email that I've put into my system for this purpose to make my life a little bit easier. It's just a polite email advising him that an inspection was conducted and that the condition of the property was not satisfactory. And it's got this insert here, which until such time as I've overwritten it with something else, as you can see with this red error, I'm going to need to pop something in here. It's not going to let me send this until such time as I've actually overwritten this with something. All right, now that I'm doing that, this is also going to, I think in this particular case, yes, this one here is letting him know that a new notice of entry is going to be issued shortly. So hitting send fires that off to the tenant, and I am now happy to close this. So I'm going to close this inspection. We've got an inspection fee that's being charged, and that is going to create the next reoccurring inspection in 3 months. Going back to my routine inspection schedule, however, I'm also going to come through and put in a one-off inspection. In this particular case, this is just going to be for 2 weeks' time. No reoccurrence. I'm just creating that inspection in here. From here, so let's go back out to our routine inspection. I can now see that in my list. There we go. Albeit, if I needed to filter down, it's easy enough to come up the top here and search by the property address. There we go. Selecting it, coming down to my 3 dots, sending that inspection notice, and they know it. They know I'm coming through in 2 weeks' time. All right. Now, just to wrap things up, because I've mentioned it more than a few times, if you'd like to review your inspection templates, email and message templates, come down to your settings, down to your templates, and you'll be able to find them through here. You can filter down onto the inspection template specifically, at which point you'll be able to see the ones your system has. And you can create new ones by clicking Add New, giving it the category Inspection, and then going through and just building one out for yourself. Selecting the inspection category is important because it means that I get specific merge codes for inspections, such as start times and dates, and a few other bits and pieces in there. And that can be a very handy way of improving your use of the system by making your life easier by having the right templates in there from the start. All right. Okay, with that said though, that was everything we were looking to run through with you guys today. I'm hoping that you found this webinar insightful, and I'm hoping it's provided you with some knowledge that you didn't know before. But we would also like to know from you So we'd also like to know from you if I'm just going to throw a quick poll out there. Here we go. I'd also like just to hear from you if you'd like to know more about Console Cloud, and potentially if you would like to learn a little bit more about inspections, the Console Go app, and potentially some of the other things we can do there, do feel free to let us know. We'd be happy to reach out to you directly to organise some training. And I'd love to know what you found, what you learned in this session that you might find useful moving forwards. And just to wrap up at the end, we would welcome some feedback from you on how you found this webinar, as well as other webinar ideas you would love to see us go through. Feel free to pop in a quick survey using this QR code, and we look forward to seeing you on another webinar in the future. Thank you all for your time.